So a while back, I did a rough calculation. I looked at what I was earning and I looked at what I was spending and what I actually had to show for it. And I gotta tell you, the numbers didn't add up in the way that I had expected. And it's not that I was reckless or that I was living beyond my means, but somehow the wealth I wanted to build was not building the way it should have been. And what I actually found out after a lot of digging is that I was losing money every single day in ways I couldn't even see it. And it wasn't through big mistakes. It was through small structural gaps that were default running in the background. And that's what this video is about. Most people assume that if money isn't growing, that either means they're earning too little or they're spending too much, right? And so they try to cut back and to budget harder, and they feel guilty about the things they spend money on they actually enjoy. But then nothing really happens. And that's because spending too much isn't actually the core problem, and neither is earning too little. The real problem is unstructured money. And here's the simplest way for me to put this into words is, if your money does not have a system, then it leaks. And not all at once, like a ship that sinks within 2 seconds, and also not in obvious ways, but just silently in the background, month after month after month. And the frustrating thing about that is that you can think you're doing everything right, working hard, not being reckless, and still be losing money without realizing it. Okay, so let me give you an example so that you know what I mean. When I was still working at the hospital, we used to go to lunch together, and afterwards everyone would queue up at the coffee bar, including me. Now please don't go, the coffee example again in your head, because there is a point to it. So at some point I realized I didn't even enjoy it that much, because the taste was fine, but not exceptionally good. Also, coffee messes with my sleep. I don't even want to drink coffee every day. And then it was in this paper cup, and I don't really enjoy drinking out of paper cups. And the thing was that I wasn't actively choosing coffee, but I was defaulting it. Because everyone else was doing it, and I was also there. And I think at the time this worked because there wasn't like a pre-made decision to do something about it at the time. Do you know what I mean? And this is exactly how one way of unstructured money looks like. It's not in a big dramatic moment, but it's in these little situations throughout the day, every day. And it defaults again and again until one day you wonder where it all went. And it wasn't until I really thought about the things that I just told you that I made this decision to, you know what? I don't need this and I don't want this. And then I stopped. And it was a good decision. Okay, so if I had to look more closely at, this unstructured money, there's really 3 ways it happens. And that is drift, delay, and friction. And each one of the money losses falls under one of these 3 categories. And number 1 is idle money. This is the most common one. Let's say you have money in your bank account. It's been sitting there for a while and it keeps sitting there, and it may even feel good and responsible to have it. But the thing is that money in your bank account is not working for you. And even if, and that actually happened to me too, even if you have that money in either a savings account that pays you some interest, or, and this is what happened to me, in that time I told you about in the beginning, I realized that I had a big chunk of money in an investment that also paid only a very small return. So when your money has no allocation, or let me say not the right allocation, then it's either not working for you at all, or it's not working hard enough, and then it stays still or almost still instead of compounding. And that way, money is losing value due to inflation. And that's not what we want. And the fix for this is actually easier than you think. It's to set up an automatic investment. In the beginning, it may even be a small one. But so that the money starts working for you and starts working hard for you, hard enough. And also it moves on its own without you having to make the decision every time. So the goal here is that money stops sitting still and actually starts moving and starts working instead of drifting away from you, right? Okay, loss number 2 is default spending. Now this is like the coffee story I told you, but imagine it bigger. So just like you're probably not overspending, but it's that without pre-decided rules, you default to spending for whatever's in front of you, what colleagues are doing, like in my case, or what's available, or what seems normal at the moment. And the tricky thing is that this doesn't feel like a decision, but that's exactly the problem, because it should be a decision, an active one, right? And when I at the time had stopped drinking coffee at the hospital, surprisingly the hardest part wasn't even stopping to drink the coffee, because like I said, I didn't enjoy it that much, but it was not standing in line with the others. And this instinct to be with a group, or that pull, to just go along with the crowd, it's way, way, way stronger than we think. And what makes it easier is to just make these pre-decisions, right? to decide beforehand, okay, what are the spending categories that are important to you? So it's important for me to tell you here that it's not about restricting yourself in a huge way and in every area of life, because that is the friction, but to instead defaulting to something that is aligned with you, with your financial goals and with your life. And it takes the decision out of many situations throughout the day, which makes it very easy because making a decision is effort. But when you already know which category is important to you and which is not, then you don't have to recalculate all the time or redecide every time. Are you guys getting this? All right, loss number 3 is delayed investing. Now, we already talked about how money is drifting away from you when it's just sitting there idle. And this now is the second side to this. It's delaying what could have happened before. And I mean, I've said it all. I'll start when I have more money. I just want to understand it better first. Or no, now is not the right time yet. And at the time, they may even sound responsible in your head, but they're costing you money. Because here's the thing. Delay is not neutral. Delay means losing. And that is especially true when it comes to money. Every month you wait, you lose what you cannot get back, which is time in the market. It's time in the market that allows our money to work hard and to grow and to compound over time. And compounding rewards the people who start. Especially the people who start early. And the painful math here is that only a few years of delay can cost you more of a decade of catching up later. So the longer you wait, the more money you have to come up with to invest in order to catch up with the time that you lost. And how to fix that is start before you feel ready, even if it's just small amounts. And yes, you have to increase those amounts over time. Loss number 4 is lifestyle drift. And this one is the hardest to catch because it happens so naturally. Your income goes up. I've been there. Your income goes up and very slowly and very quietly, your spending adjusts to that income. Not because you made the active decision to spend more, but because this is again a default that happens. The dinners get a little nicer, the trips get a little longer, and the subscriptions quietly get more. And I mean, none of this is like this huge shift in lifestyle, right? Where you suddenly buy a Porsche or a penthouse or whatever. So they're all very subtle, but they're all adding up. And the tricky thing about it is that once you've adapted to a certain level, it's so much harder to go back from this. Because then it really feels like a loss. And there is this thing called loss aversion, which means that we cannot handle loss very well. And so what I did once I noticed, and also recommend you do too, is you lock in a certain baseline lifestyle and then be very intentional about the changes you let in. And then when your income goes up or you otherwise have some disposable income, then decide in advance where it goes and where it's the biggest lever for you to increase your lifestyle. If that makes any sense. So for example, if you don't fancy restaurants that much, then you probably shouldn't spend that much money on them, right? And that way you prevent that spending absorbs all of your money. And then loss number 5, there's one other place for you to look. And that is, besides the spending, unoptimized defaults. And what I mean by that are especially your financial infrastructure. Because maybe you still have an account that someone else picked for you or that you picked like decades ago. Maybe you pay an interest that you never renegotiated. And maybe you get paid interest in a savings account that you set up years ago, but you never revisited it and it's not the best on the market. And these are also all defaults. They're not necessarily designed to work best for you, but for someone else. In fact, banks are spending a lot of money to market to young people because they know once they've opened an account with them, the likelihood of them changing this account is very, very low. And so it can really pay off to check what I like to call your financial infrastructure. So to really take a close look if they're still serving you in the way you want to. So are you having the right accounts? Do they allow automatic transfers? Do you have set up the right allocation to the accounts that you have? And so the goal here is to let that all run as much automated as possible. First of all, without costing you money, and also for you to not having to manage it every month, again and again, and wasting so much time on it. So here's what I want to leave you with. People who build wealth consistently, they're not more disciplined than you. They're not necessarily more motivated. They do not have more willpower. They just took care of those money leaks we talked about. Like all those leaks were running in the background before, they then set up a system that now runs in the background. And it's the system that handles their decisions so they don't have to do it. right? It's just they have structured their money in a way where it works for them. And just like unstructured money, structured money is also running quietly in the background. It's just instead of leaking, it's gaining, which means the money keeps moving into the right direction, even when your life gets tired, gets busy, or you just live and enjoy it. And so if any of this sounded familiar, you already know where to start. All right, let me know what you think, or if you want me to dive deeper into any of those topics, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.